Cape Canaveral, Florida, SpaceX brought 4 astronauts home with a midnight splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico on Friday, capping the busiest month yet for Elon Musk's taxi service. The 3 U.S. astronauts and 1 German in the capsule were bobbing off the Florida coast, near Tampa, less than 24 hours after leaving the International Space Station. NASA expected to have them back in Houston later in the morning. NASA's Raja Chari, Marshburn and Kayla Barron, and the European Space Agency's Matthias Maurer, embraced the 7 astronauts remaining at the station, before parting ways. "It's the end of a 6-month mission, but I think the space dream lives on," Maurer said. SpaceX brought up their U.S. and Italian replacements last week, after completing a charter trip to the station for a trio of businessmen. That amounts to 2 crew launches and 2 splashdowns in barely a month. Musk's company has now launched 26 people into orbit in less than 2 years, since it started ferrying astronauts for NASA. 8 of those 26 were space tourists. The newly returned astronauts said their mission was highlighted by the 3 visitors and their ex-astronaut escort who dropped by in April, opening up NASA's side of the station to paying guests after decades of resistance. On the downside, they had to contend with a dangerous spike in space junk after Russia blew up a satellite in a missile test in mid-November. More than 500 pieces of shrapnel spread across Earth's orbit for years to come. While the war in Ukraine has caused tensions between the U.S. and Russia, the astronauts have stood by their Russian crewmates, and vice versa. Flight controllers in Houston and Moscow also continue to cooperate as always, according to NASA officials. As he relinquished command of the space station earlier this week, Marshburn called it a place of peace and said international cooperation would likely be its lasting legacy. Russian Oleg Artemyev, the new commander, also emphasized the peace between our countries, our friendship in orbit, and described his crewmates as brothers and sisters.